Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Anna and I'm the owner and creator here at All Things All Happy. And in today's video, we're going to be working on this beauty. Can we get that? Yep. We're going to be using two different types of vinyl along with some glitter to get this look. So join me as we get this tumbler started. I'm using a 20-ounce straight tumbler from Craft Haven Tumblers. And the first thing you want to do is just scuff it up a bit. I'm using a sanding block and I'm just going to go all the way around and just make sure the entire surface is nice and scratched. All right, and then we're just going to wipe it down with some alcohol. Just want to clean off all that dust that you just scraped off. We're going to go ahead and measure our tumbler, and this is 8 inches long. So I'm going to do about 2.5 inches from the top, 2.5 inches from the bottom. All right, so I cut my 2 strips of 2.5 inches, and I'm going to keep them together. Like this is how it was. So I want to do one on top and one on the bottom. All right, I'm just going to grab my tumbler, and I have this L-shaped ruler, and I'm just going to place it against the tumbler because I just want to see my straight edge. And I'm just going to take the pencil and just go up and down. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line up my vinyl. So I have my straight edge here, and I just folded back just a little piece of it. And I'm just going to line it up to that straight edge that I drew on. But I want to get close to the top, but I do want to leave a little room for that silver to show. And once I get that first corner on, I'm just going to wrap it around and just to make sure that it evenly matches up, which it does. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start pulling out the backing of the vinyl. I'm going to start pulling it back slowly as I push down onto the vinyl to make sure that there are no air bubbles. You can use a squeegee, you can use your fingers. Sometimes I just like using my fingers. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna slowly push it down and guide it all the way around. All right, once you get to the area where you're going to overlap, I'm just gonna cut that piece off. All right, so I just wanna show you, this is how close I got to the top. Okay, once I have that overlap, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna cut along the line, just a little bit over the line. I just wanna show you where the overlap line is. We are overlapped right here. It's really faint, right here. And then I cut to right there. So it literally is like 2 millimeters, if that. Okay, that's how close I do it. All right, so I folded back the second piece of the vinyl just a little, and I'm going to line that up along that line as well. And I want to give myself just a little bit at the bottom, not too much, just a little. And I also want to make sure that this wraps around and meets up, which it does. So I'm just going to slowly push my fingers down while pushing off that backing. Okay? And this just ensures that the vinyl is placed down nice and flat without any bubbles. All right, I'm just gonna go around and just make sure that all the vinyl is nice and flat. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push in that crease line of where the 2 pieces of vinyl overlap. And then I'm just going to slowly cut right alongside it. And then I'm just going to peel that excess off. Once we're done with this, I'm just going to use some painter's tape. I'm using the Scotch brand blue painter's tape. And I'm just going to edge it all the way around, and I'm going to do both the top and the bottom. All right. It doesn't need to be perfect because we are going to edge in between the vinyl and the glitter. All right, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to paint the tumbler, the center of it here, yellow. Don't forget to paint the bottom. I did add the blue tape here. I totally forgot about it. So make sure you add that blue tape at the bottom so that you can paint the base without getting it all over your vinyl. I'm just going to go back and I'm just going to repaint the center. The only reason I am repainting the center is because I'm using a light colored glitter, and usually when I use a light colored glitter you can actually see the streaks of the paint from below if they are very prominent. Like here, this lightness and then this darkness, like you would see it. It's so weird. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just do this extra step here. We're going to add some Mod Podge to the dried paints. All right, we're just gonna evenly add the Mod Podge all the way around. You don't want any thick lines of Mod Podge. It just should be nice and smooth. I do have some lemon juice here. This is part of the Feel the Heat collection. Just want to tap any excess off. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap it in a piece of parchment paper here. Very slowly, nothing crazy. And just run my finger back and forth just to flatten it. All right, once we flatten that, we're just going to go ahead and we are going to Mod Podge the bottom and glitter that as well. And then we're just going to let this sit for a bit. Once it's dry, you just want to brush off any of the excess glitter. And then we're going to go ahead and we are going to Mod Podge again. I always keep my brushes in one of those little baby wipes. Keeps it moist and it doesn't dry out. And I'm just going to go around and just make this nice and even. All right, once we've Mod Podged, we're just going to go ahead and re-glitter. I like to slowly push into the glitter here for the bottom. Keeps it nice and flat and compact. All right, we're just going to tap off any of the excess. And then we're just going to go ahead. We're just going to lay it in another piece of parchment paper. And we're just slowly going to back and forth. Just pat it down. It's easier when you go to epoxy. You'll need less coats of epoxy this way. I just want to go ahead and remove the tape. You don't want to wait because when the glue along with the glitter dries, it will tear more into the area here, the center. So you just want to peel down slowly. Once the tape is removed, I do like to go around the edge of where the tape was and just pat it down, especially if it was a chunky glitter. I just find that it helps it keep it nice and flat, keeps the glitter nice and flat. And we're just going to let this sit for a couple of hours and dry. Once everything is dried, we're just going to brush off any of the excess glitter. And then we're gonna seal it with some CCDIY's Quick Coat Sealer. So we're just going to seal the glitter. So when we epoxy, we don't get the glitter all over the vinyl. This just keeps it in place. I'm just gonna go around and just do this glitter part, the bottom, and I'm also going to do the seam of where the vinyl meets. I'm gonna just do there. Once you're done sealing, just gonna let this sit and dry for about 30 minutes. So I mixed 30 mLs of Amazing Quick Coat by Illuminate. I did 15 of part A and 15 of part B. And we're just gonna mix that until it's nice and clear. We're gonna begin pouring on the epoxy. And I just like to use slow controlled portions. Just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cover the entire tumbler with the epoxy until it's all nice and even. Once you have it fully coated, we're just gonna hit it with some heat. I'm just using a blowtorch here. We're just gonna let this spin around for about 4 to 5 hours until it's dry. Our tumbler is dry. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna clean it up a bit. We're just going to remove any of the excess resin that's sitting at the top of the tumbler. Just wanna go all the way around and just remove that excess. All right, you just wanna go ahead, you just wanna sand the bottom of it, just the edging, just where it feels really bumpy. Doesn't need to be perfect because we are gonna put another layer of epoxy on it. And you also wanna do the center here, just anywhere where it's like really jagged. If there's like a piece of glitter that's sticking up in the wrong direction, just kind of want to get that nice and flat. And then we're just going to go ahead and we're going to clean it with some alcohol. I went ahead and I added another coat of epoxy. I used the Amazing Quick Coat by Illuminate. Not sure what happened. I guess I forgot to press the record button. But I did 25 mLs. I did 12.5 of part A and 12.5 of part B. The first time that I epoxied it, I did use 30, but I only needed 25. So if you want to adjust to 25, you can. This time around, I also did the 25, and it's evenly applied. And now I'm just going to add some heat just to pop any bubbles that come to the surface. And I'm just going to let this spin around for about 4 to 5 hours until it dries. All right, our tumbler is done drying. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just going to cut out any of the excess resin that's at the top. And what I have here is a semi-transparent vinyl. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut about 3 inches. Let's see here, 1, 2, 3. All right. I'm just going to fold some of the back of the vinyl down so that I have a nice clean edge. All right, so what I did was I overlined it just a bit from where the back edging was, and you just want to wrap it around just to make sure that it's going to end up even, okay? And then what you want to do is you want to peel away the backing while pushing down on the vinyl. And this is transparent vinyl, so you can see through the other side. So you want to make sure that you are not grabbing the back of it because you don't want any fingerprints. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the excess. And here it doesn't matter where you cut it because all you're going to see when you put the epoxy on this is the image. And see how these two images overlap? So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna cut just this whole section here, right off. So what I did here was just cut off any image that overlapped. So now it's just image, image, image with nothing overlapping. Next, we're going to lay down some washi tape. So I got this washi tape from Hobby Lobby. You can get it from any craft store. You can even get it online from Amazon. And I'm just going to edge this image here on both sides, all the way around. Once it lines up, you can just press down and just lift. And I'm going to repeat that on this side. Once you have everything nice and flat, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to just seal it with some Quick Coat by CCDIY. And I'm going to seal my edge where the two pieces meet. And I'm also going to seal the washi tape that we added all the way around. Once you're done applying the sealer, I'm just gonna let this sit for about 30 minutes and dry. All right, so this is 5 milliliters. I'm using the Amazing Quick Coat by Illuminite, and I'm using 2.5 of part A and 2.5 of part B. And you can even use the UV resin if you'd like. All right, so I'm going to add like a very little bit of resin. And I'm just going to rub it all the way around the base portion. Just want a really thin coat. And you could just flick it down a little bit. Like really thin coat. So I'm just going to use some of this iridescent rainbow chunky glitter. And I'm just going to pour it on the bottom, very little. I just want to go ahead and pat it down. All right, so this side is done. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna add a little bit of epoxy to the other side. Like you really just need just a little. I'm just gonna rub that around. I'm just gonna push some of it down. And I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna sprinkle just a little bit more. Rub your finger around the top just to get any of those chunks of glitter that are sticking up. And then just go around and pat down the chunky glitter. We're just gonna let this dry for about 4 hours. If you use the UV resin, you can just go on to the next step. All right, once that's dry, we're just gonna go ahead, brush off any of the excess glitter. We're just gonna reseal it here with that quick coat. Just gonna put it over the glitter. You wanna do both the top and the bottom, and this will keep the glitter in its place, and when we resin, it won't move around. And that's our goal. All right. Once you're done with that, you're just gonna let it sit and dry for about 30 minutes. Our tumbler is now dry, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to epoxy, and I have 20 mLs, 10 of part A and 10 of part B, and I'm using the Amazing Quick Coat by Illuminite. Just gonna slowly start pouring it on. Just wanna use slow, controlled portions. Once you have a nice thin coat on, we're just gonna hit it with some heat, just to pop any bubbles that may come to the surface. This is not our final coat, so it doesn't need to be perfect. You just want it to be smooth and even. We're just gonna let this spin for about 4 to 5 hours. Once your tumbler's dry, you just wanna make sure it's not bumpy anywhere. I wish this was my final coat because it actually came out really good. So I'm gonna apply my decal. I'm gonna put on the offset first. I just wanna make sure that's nice and flat. Now we're gonna lay on the top of the decal. And this decal is 2.76 inches by 2.09 inches. And I made the offset at 0.09. I just want to push that down, make sure it's lying nice and flat. Once you have your decal set, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to seal it again with that quick coat. And the reason I did not apply the decal to the last step when I put down the washi tape and this is because this is a transparent, opaque vinyl, so it's lifted. So when you put an image on top of an image like this here, it like raises it. So the back of the vinyl of this silver would look raised, like it'll have like little lumps in it. And that bothers me. I used to do it like that and I couldn't understand what the problem was. And so now I just do that extra step and apply it at different times and it just comes out nice and smooth. All right, and we're just gonna let that dry for about 30 minutes. So I went ahead and I mixed 20 mLs of the amazing Clear Cast Plus by Illuminate. I did 10 of part A and 10 of part B. And then we're just going to slowly apply small portions, or however way you like to do it. You just want to go around and evenly coat your tumbler. This is the last coat. So you just want to make sure everything is nice and smooth and that all your bubbles are popped. Once you're done applying that, just go ahead and hit it again with some heat. At this final step, I always like to wait a little bit and put a couple of minutes, about 2-3 minutes, and just to make sure that I don't visibly see any air bubbles. And if I do, I just use a toothpick and just pop them. But it's looking good. We're just gonna let this spin around for about 7 to 8 hours. Our tumbler is now completed. I love the way it turned out. Came out really, really pretty. I love the glitter up here. It doesn't even look like it's white. It actually picks up the different colors that are in the vinyl. It's just really pretty. If you guys have any questions or comments, just drop them in this section down below. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and see you next time.